Assalamu alaikum, greetings of peace. My name is Hafsa Siddiqui and I'm your host for YATA Talks. A recurring guest is in the studio with us today, Sheikh Mustafa Khattab, to talk to us about dating in Islam and how to go about it. So, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you so much for being here again.
Hello.
So really quickly, tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is you do.
My name is Mustafa Khattab. I'm the Imam of the Anatolia Islamic Center and a member of the Canadian Council of Imams. And I do dawah, counseling, and also I'm a Muslim chaplain.
Alrighty, so something that becomes very prominent, especially to young people, is dating, and something that Muslims usually, it is a general term that we don't date. So what would your opinions just really quickly be on Islam and dating? How do you do dating in Islam, or can you do dating in Islam?
Well, before we talk about dating, we have to define the term Islamically, because there are those terms out there, and things can always be done the right way or the wrong way, and the name doesn't really mean anything to me. So Islamically, how dog is not made of dog, right? It's a different thing. And also, when we speak about adoption in Islam, there is halal adoption, which basically means sponsorship.
Mm-hmm.
And there's adoption, which is haram. And this basically means you take someone, you give them your last name, they sit in the house with your wife, your daughters without hijab, and you give them a share of inheritance just like your son. But Islamically, you can't take them in, or you can sponsor them, treat them like your own kids, but you don't give them your last name because they're not your real kids. And you still can give them a share of inheritance, but not like your kids. You can give them up to 1/3, and this could even be more than what your kids get, right? But you treat them just like you treat your own kids. But there are rules and regulations in Islam to make it right. Same thing for dating. If we mean by dating that you meet this guy, you go out with him, you go to the movies and everything without your parents' knowledge, and one thing lead to another, and so on and so forth. And this is not the proper way of doing it. In Islam, وَأْتُوا الْبِيُوتَ مِنْ أَبْوَابِهَا, go to the house from the proper door. And if you're a man, you go talk to a man. You love the sister, you know her, maybe you go to school together, you know the sister from work and everything. You need to talk to the family, because the family is responsible for this brother or for this sister, and we need their approval and their blessing, right? So we need to get them involved. So they are there for us. They take care of us from when we were young all the way to college, and after graduation, they're always there for us. So now when you think about getting married or knowing someone, you don't get your family involved, and I think this is not the proper way of doing it.
Okay, so if you look at trends now, young people, they're interested in dating. It's become kind of common culture. You date when you're in high school, when you're in university. So young Muslim people, they do it as well, and they do this kind of modified form of dating where they don't really get into relationships that heavily. So what would you say about this kind of dating?
Yes, getting to know someone is not haram in Islam. If you talk to someone respectfully, like you have this colleague or you go to school together, you know someone, and you're interested in them, and because you see them every day at work or at school, and you know the person, you know their personality and everything, and you would like to propose to them, the proper way is getting the family involved. If you feel like, I like this person, and I want to spend the rest of my life with them, then you have to do it properly. You go and talk to the family. I've seen a lot of issues. The youth, they're talking to each other, and sometimes some sisters, some of those guys, they're just playing games. They're playing you. They're not serious about marriage, and so on and so forth. So you don't put yourself in that position. And from what I know, and these are actually academic studies, that people don't, I would say 90, at least 95% of the time, you don't marry the first person you fall in love with for whatever reasons. They love someone else, something happened, they traveled, and so on and so forth. So you have to be serious about it, and you have to do it the right way. But if you talk to them behind their parents' backs, and I know things, sometimes get ugly, and one thing will lead to another. And as you say, shaitan, the common day, shaitan is very smart, and one thing will lead to another. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about these relationships in the Quran, He says, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا. Don't get close to doing something haram, right? You have to do things properly. If you love someone, marry them with the family's approval. But if you do things in a haram way, behind their backs, one thing will lead to another. And as I said, Allah says in the Quran, don't get close to the haram. يعني لا تقربوا الزنا. Don't get close to committing zina. وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا مَالَ الْيَتِيمِ. Don't come close to the money of the orphan. وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الْفَوَاحِشِ. Don't come close to indecencies. And Allah told Adam in Jannah, وَلَا تَقْرَبَ هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ. Don't come close to this tree, because once you get close, you'll be sucked in. You're done. So eventually one thing will lead to another, and maybe you will end up doing something haram that you will regret for the rest of your life. So do it the proper way.
So you said do it the proper way, but do you find oftentimes, and in a lot of different Muslim families, that there's this extreme strictness, or maybe this kind of don't even talk to one another? In some cultures, in some families, that young people, young boys and girls, they cannot talk to each other, they cannot get to know each other. So then do you think this is why that young people, they kind of go around their family and do what they want?
This is one aspect of it, that the families, they don't talk to each other because the father is always busy, or he's traveling, and the mom is busy with different things, and the kids, everyone has their own thing, and they don't talk. So this is one aspect. The other aspect is sometimes the parents make it so difficult. Like one brother was complaining, like he is 30 years old, and his father was not happy when he told him he wanted to get married. 30 years old, this is like the proper age of for marriage, so when you make it so difficult, or when a brother proposes to a sister and her parents are very demanding, like they set all these standards, mashallah, and the guy who proposes to our daughter, or the family of the guy, the girl that our son is going to marry, she has to be Hafiz al-Quran, she has to have a PhD in Islamic studies and rocket science, and she has to come from this family and from this caste, and the guy has to buy a house, buy furniture, 2 kilograms of gold, and so pay like $200,000 dollars mahr, and the people make it so difficult. When I'm talking to the parents, when you make halal very difficult, so automatically your kids will go for haram, right? So make it easy for them, inshallah.
So we talked about dating and all that, but what about getting to know someone? A lot of Muslim families, they engage in engaged marriage, or they have marriage set beforehand. So what about getting to know this person? What are the limitations of that?
I would advise the brothers, when you talk to a sister with the prospect of marriage, treat them the same way you like your own sister to be treated, right? With respect and dignity. You don't play games with them. You talk for as long as it takes to get to know them, what you like about them, to find common grounds. And once you know that this person is someone that you can't live without, then you should go ahead and talk to the family. But you shouldn't talk to them, or engagement shouldn't take 5 years. This is too much. You say, Zindagi bahut mukhtasar hai. Life is short. If you take 5 years to make up your mind, this is crazy, So I believe a few months are enough to get to know someone. And even if you are engaged to someone and you talk to them for 10, 15 years, you wouldn't know every single thing about them. I know people, they're neighbors, they're related in a way or another, and they know each other for their entire lives. But once you move in and you start to live with them, you'll be surprised. You'll find surprises along the way. So, it shouldn't take too long, and it shouldn't be too short either, because, some people, they see someone for the first time, they fall in love with them, and a couple of days later they get married, and, they find surprises, and, sometimes divorces happen,
Well, thank you very much. Just really quickly, if you could send a message to our viewers who are watching, who are confused as to what they're supposed to be doing when it comes to dating and getting to know others.
Dating, as we said, can be done the right way. If you know someone and you like them and you want to marry them, talk to the family, get to know the person, and treat them with respect and dignity. And my message to the parents, again, make it easy for your kids to get married. This is the Islamic way. once they reach an age to take care of a family, they are physically, intellectually, and emotionally and intellectually mature to take care of a family and kids and so on and so forth. So please help them. As Allah says in the Quran, وَأَنكِحُوا الْأَيَامَ مِنْكُمْ وَالصَّالِحِينَ مِنْ عِبَادِكُمْ وَإِمَائِكُمْ. If your children are able to get married and they reach the marriageable age, they are able to take care of their family and their kids and so on and so forth. Help them. Don't make it difficult for them. And as we said, if you make haram difficult, if you make halal difficult for them, they will look for the haram. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for our youth, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help them to get married, inshallah.
Well, Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much for coming. If you're interested in getting in contact with Sheikh Mustafa Khattab, please click the links below. Keep sending us your questions, and I'm your host, Hafsa Siddiqui for YATA Talks.